Hello and welcome back to the Daily Pour. My name is Chris Musgrove. Today we're looking at a topic, I call it the three phases of life, the three of life's events that's going to happen to you. It happens to every one of us, and it will happen to all of us, all three of them. The first one is birth. If you're watching this program, you were born. I used to say you weren't hatched or you're not an alien. You came through the birth canal or out the stomach in a C-section. Either way, you have a belly button. And then there's the spiritual death that happens to every person. They come to a point in their life when they fall spiritually because they come to the age of accountability. And then the last one we're going to look at is physical death, So birth, spiritual death, and then physical death. Three life events, three phases of life. And we're going to look at some scripture here. You know, we were all born. That's the way God set it up. It's every seed produces after its own kind. He said that in Genesis. In Genesis chapter 1, verse 28, he said, "Be fruitful and multiply, replenish the earth, fill the earth." And that's through birth, reproduction, and it's a beginning of life. You know, I was thinking about it earlier. We're creating God's image. God said in John chapter 4, "I'm a spirit," and if the Bible says we were creating His image, that means we're spirits. So we're spirit beings, and the physical birth is where there are spirit beings that are coming into the physical realm. A man and a woman comes together. The seed hits, the child is formed in the womb, and there's a spirit in that child. That's what gives life. The Spirit gives life. I don't know what goes on in heaven, if that Spirit existed before and then the Spirit came into being in the physical realm, and there's a physical birth. Because, you know, really, when you die, you don't die. You can't kill the Spirit. If we're spirit beings, we use the example of a shell. You're like in a turtle in a shell. The shell's gone, but well, of course, the tortoise don't live, or a turtle don't live after the shell's gone, but it's just like an outward garment. You know, it's like a shell. I would call it, some people call it an earth suit, because we live forever. We're eternal beings. Whether you're saved or not saved, you're an eternal being created in God's image and His likeness. And then, so He said, be fruitful and multiply. Then in Genesis 3, we know that was a man disobeyed God. He got around the tree. It says that they were standing by the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. They were told, you can do anything you want. You can eat from any tree you want, but don't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Well, I don't know why they were hanging around the tree. I always tell young people, if your mama said don't go to the club, don't hang around the club door. Don't even go near the club. But if you're near the tree, then the serpent, the devil appeared in the form of a serpent and said, God said, you won't die if you eat from this tree. And he said, well, God said we'll die. And he said, no, you won't. You'll be like God. And God knows that. Well, they listened to the devil. They were deceived. They fell. They took the fruit. She ate it. She gave it to Adam. He ate it. And it says their eyes were open. They knew the knowledge of good and evil. In fact, it says they didn't have any clothes on. They were naked. And now they went and bought fig leaves, and they hid themselves. Sin will make you hide yourself. Sin fell on man, and because of that sin came on every man. And then the devil's in control. He's in dominion. That's why we had to have another man come back and get back what Adam lost, and we'll get to that. But in Genesis 3, verses 15, it says, I will put enmity, when he's pronouncing the curse over man, woman, and over the serpent, he said, I will put enmity between you and the man and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. And when he said her seed, it's capitalized. Your seed was small, her seed capitalized. In the end of a sentence, it wasn't at the beginning of a sentence, that represented Jesus. I believe that's a prophetic word. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Snakes have been biting people's heels for eternity, but I know a bunch of snakes that died, and I bruised some heads of some snakes myself. And then we're going to look at John 16. I was looking for a scripture on birth. Jesus said this in John 16:21. He says, a woman goes through travail and anguish for a period of time because of the curse that came on man, that woman, you shall experience travail in birth. And it says, but when the child has come, as soon as birth is given, a child is coming to the world, you forget about all that anguish and pain. And there's the most unbelievable joy that you can imagine to see a newborn child. And when I think about a newborn child, I think about a precious, innocent, perfect child. There's no sin. It's like a spotless lamb. Just look at this little child. He don't know anything. He's perfect. He just born into this world. He's not corrupt. But the problem is there's a third phase or a second phase after physical birth, and it's called spiritual death. And we call it the age of accountability. And we're going to look at that next time to see what happens to this perfect child as it grows up. So tune in next time to the Daily Pour. God bless you.